The 2022 summer season was a big deal here at the National Scouting Museum as we earned a 77% excellent rating for customer service and satisfaction from the 17,000 plus participants at Philmonte Scout Ranch. This week, we have the third and final installment of Russell Smart's introduction of the autumn staff of the National Scouting Museum and the Via Philmonte. Today, we'll meet the last three members of the museum staff on this special edition of Artifact of the Week.
I'm Russell Smart. It's my honor to serve as a member of the Philmonte Ranch Committee and as chairman of the National Scouting Museum Task Force, which is a part of the Philmonte Ranch Committee. Today, we're not actually going to look at an artifact, but we are going to meet our most important assets, and those are the folks who are the staff of the National Scouting Museum. I hope that you'll join us for a few minutes as we meet each of those folks who make the National Scouting Museum what a great asset it is for the Boy Scouts of America. Earlier this year, Josh Hunt became a member of the staff at the National Scouting Museum on a contract basis. We have an upgrade project underway, and Josh Hunt is our project manager for that upgrade. But before we get into that, Josh, tell us a little bit about Josh Hunt, about yourself.
Well, there's not much to know, aside from I came here just recently from Wisconsin, worked here at Philmonte about 15 years ago, and I'm really enjoying the return. Before this recent stint coming back to Philmonte, I was a teacher and was an independent practicing artist. One of the things that qualified me to be here was my previous work for the Order of the Arrow, doing drawings and paintings and working within their history institutions.
And you've been artist in residence a couple of times for various events, Jamboree, NOAC, etc. So what are you working on? What's going on here at the National Scouting Museum that you're the project manager for?
Since opening in 2018, we've had some fantastic exhibits that have already been on display, but we think that we can do them better. So improving our infrastructure, the overall visual graphics, our story, to reformat in a way that's heightened from when we originally opened.
We've got a good story. We need to tell it even better than we have. So what we see in the background is some of that going on right now. So what's the schedule for the finish of this project?
The most exciting milestone in all of the work that we've been doing this past year will occur next June, in which we are going to be reopening our Scouting Heritage Gallery with all of our exhibits renovated and brought up to their highest quality.
And what have you enjoyed most about this project?
Every day is different. So whether I am writing all of the stories that will go on to each of our exhibits, researching Scout history and reading some of the founders' books, or simply applying my artistic talent to this project, all of it has been a blast, and every day, like I said, is different.
Well, it's been great. And that is Josh Hunt, project manager for the upgrade of the Scouting Heritage Gallery and other galleries at the National Scouting Museum. Harold White. Harold is our museum program specialist at the National Scouting Museum. Hi, Harold.
How you doing, Russell?
I'm good. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm married to a lovely lady that her and I decided about 5 years ago we needed to become full-time RVers. So we relocated out here to this part of the world. We knew it was going to be somewhere between Cheyenne and Albuquerque. And I've spent the last 30 years or so of my life doing marketing and video and media, and I love what I get to do for every day.
Well, that's certainly been an asset to the National Scouting Museum, but how did you get connected with this job?
Well, interestingly, I knew Dee Dee from the training center, and she talked about that during her interview. And she told Dave Werhane that I was in the area and was available, and they were looking for somebody to handle a number of activities that had been done with Nancy Klein when she was still a member of the staff. And so Dave called me up one day and brought me in, asked me if I was interested, and I said, yeah, sure, let's see where this goes. And the first day on the job, I did something that really kind of saved his bacon, and I think he just appreciated it, and And so he's kept me around ever since.
Fantastic. So how long have you been here altogether, both part-time and now full-time?
Between seasonal and this position, I've been here for almost 4 years.
All right, so pretty much the whole time the museum has been here.
Right after the museum opened, I started in April of 19.
Right. Well, Harold, I know this is a tough question because you do like 1,000 different things every week, but what's your favorite part of your job as the program specialist for the museum?
Well, I have 3 things that I really like. I love the artifacts. I love when people send us things and discovering what's exciting and important to them. I really love the stories that we get to tell here. Artifact of the Week was something we did originally just to have an outreach during COVID, and now it's turned into this thing where I get people who come in all the time they want to know what we're doing next. They're excited about it. It's just been a lot of fun for me. And the third thing is, like everybody else, the people and their stories. It's amazing all of the things that you learn about folks. They come in and they open up. And it's not always about Philmonte, it's not always about scouting. Sometimes it's just a connection to somebody who had a connection here. And that's all pretty cool to me.
Fantastic. Well, it's a great job, and you do a great job at the job as our program specialist. And that's Harold White, our program specialist for the National Scouting Museum. Our last interview today is with the director of the National Scouting Museum, Dave Werhane. Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, Russell. Well, I'm married and I have 2 children, Lincoln and Henry, and my wife Jill. Love spending a lot of time with my family, hiking, fishing, hunting, camping, and just enjoying the beautiful mountains of the place we live.
What brought you to this place of being the director of the National Scouting Museum?
Well, it starts, I guess, when I first came to Philmonte in 1981 as a scout, then on Rayado in 83, and then on staff from 84 all the way through the 1990s, the early part there. And just was fascinated with the history out here. That led into working on historical structures for Philmonte back in the 90s down at Rayado. And then that led me into working on historical structures and history throughout New Mexico, which eventually led me to a museum in Bend, Oregon. And then I got a call that they needed someone down here again to take on the Philmonte Museum and Seat Memorial Library. I did that, took on that job, and that morphed into this role 11 years later as the director of the National Scouting Museum.
When we moved our National Scouting Museum from Dallas here to Philmonte and built a wonderful new facility, which we're now upgrading and making it even better. So what's your favorite thing, Dave? I know this is a tough question. Your favorite thing about being director of the National Scouting Museum?
The stories. All the stories. Every single thing we have here has a story. And the further you learn about that, the deeper you get into the story. And those stories are the story of our country, the story of our youth, or the story of scouting. They're the story of us. And they're highly impactful, and they engage my imagination, and I can travel all over history, sometimes by holding something in my hand, or putting it on the wall, or just staring back and letting the emotions wash over me as I imagine and learn about the scouts and what they do.
Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why we do what we do. It's not about the stuff, it's about the story. Dave Werhane, Director of the National Scouting Museum. Thank you, Harold, and thank you, Scouters and Scouts, for giving us an opportunity to introduce you to the wonderful staff of the Boy Scouts of America National Scouting Museum here at Philmonte Scout Ranch.
Thanks, Russell. If you'd like to work next summer as a seasonal employee of the National Scouting Museum, or would like to serve as a volunteer docent, follow the link in the description and fill out a seasonal application. Each summer, we hire gift shop clerks, museum specialists, custodians, villa tour guides, and a staff to provide tours of the historic Chase Ranch House. We also bring in somewhere between 25 and 30 volunteer docents to greet visitors and share the stories of the BSA with our guests. Docents serve for 7 or 15-day sessions from mid-May until the end of August. If you have any questions about working or volunteering here at the National Scouting Museum, feel free to send us an email and we will get back to you as quickly as possible. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Join us next time as we continue to learn more about the history of the BSA, through the collections of the National Scouting Museum and Artifact of the Week.